My name is Patrick Kiruhura, and today we are going to talk on a topic that is very important. The topic is the role of culture in human relationships. This topic is very important to every culture and to every human because today we live a life that is very challenging, a life where you don't know what is good, you don't know what is wrong, what is good in this culture, bad in another culture. What is bad in one culture, it is good in another culture. So to grow in a multicultural environment is very frustrating and very difficult. To understand the role of culture in human relationships is the most important thing that everyone should try to learn and share with their friends and meditate on it, because our success in our life depends on that. And because success is in a concept, not out of a concept. I'm successful if I become who I was supposed to be, and you're successful if you become who you were supposed to be. So we don't have that many choice because our life is made in a way that we travel and we meet different cultures, we have different friends, and we meet people, we have different families that have different culture in one house. So we have to accommodate that value, but in a good understanding. So knowledge is the key to understand how to become who you were supposed to be and to become a value in this community of which we have to all contribute. I have to contribute, you have to contribute, and someone else have to contribute to create that environment of good understanding. And a good life depends on that. A life is always in a culture, and success of a life is in a culture. So culture is that important that if you go out of your culture, you will malfunction. If I go out of my culture, I will malfunction. So the culture is the environment of which I am supposed to grow, to live in. Culture nurture me, protect me, and promote my life. So culture is very important than life itself. To live in a multicultural environment proposes so much and also brings too much pressure, because we want to coexist, and I don't want to hurt no one, and someone else don't want to hurt me. We are very frustrated because the way to take life is not clear in a such environment, but the way always has to do with the concept of life of which you were supposed to be. So we want to relate to everyone. We want to live very good with everyone. We want to create relationship for us to collaborate, for us to live, for us to survive, for us to educate our children, for us to raise children that are supposed to be successful in that specific life. Culture is the first nature of a thing. So everything that seems strange in my eyes is not my culture. Everything that seems not known in my eyes is not my culture. So your culture is everything that you know, and it is not everything that you don't know. So we always have to evolve in a culture. A culture does not change, but it does grow. You grow as you get exposed to different culture. You grow when you get exposed to different perspective of life, different ideas of life. That's how your life evolved. And it evolved by adapting new values and accommodating new values in your life. So if you were growing into one village in a corner of Congo or in a corner of Rwanda, where everyone you meet thinks like you, eat the same food you eat, and then clothe the same clothes you put on, your life will never change. Your life will never evolve. You will be just the same person in that village. But when you go out of your village, you see different way of living, and that gives you a proposal of how to live again. But you don't go out of what you are to get something else, but you adapt a new value into that life of which you have. So whenever we go out, we go to learn. And when we learn, we come and apply in our life. So for you to be in a life, you don't bring something that destroys your environment. A very good example. I am a human, and you too. So we have this earth as the environment of which we are supposed to live. So our environment has the air and too many different composition that makes that air. And we have the oxygen that we breathe, all of us. So if they take you out of the oxygen, you will malfunction. And no one needs to kill you when you get out of that environment. You will naturally die. So the environment is very important than a life. A good example again. A tree is supposed to be underground, and it is supposed to be under the sun, and it's supposed to have the rain or the water for it to grow. So if you take a tree out of the ground, you don't need to kill it. It will naturally die. So a fish lives in water. It has the capacity to breathe in water. As long as it stays there, it will live. As a matter of fact, when you go to catch a fish from water, it fights with all its might to go back. It fights with all its might to go back in its nature. So that environment of which allows its life. Environment is supposed to allow our life and protect and promote our life. So environment always create relationships. Environment create priorities of our life. Environment create the choice we should make. Environment create the priority in a way that whatever that comes to your life, it has to add on who you are supposed to be. I don't change to relate to someone. I only learn of who they are. Navigating in one or a different culture that is not yours always has to do with the knowledge of how they think, how they live their life, what they call good and what they call bad. So for you to create a relationship with someone out of your culture, of course you have to relate to them. You have to understand them. You have to know their life. You have to know their values. You have to know what they do and what they don't do for you to navigate in them without committing mistakes. So because whenever you violate their environment, whenever you are suspicious in their environment, the only thing they will do, they will reject you, and you can never get anything from them. But when you come carefully understanding their life and what you can do in their presence and what you cannot do, you relate to them. In that time, they see something they know in you. And that thing, because you know them and they know you, you create a sustainable relationship that promise collaboration and promise a development. So for me to grow into someone I was supposed to be, I have also to know my parents. I have to know where my parents come from. I have to know how they live, how they used to live. I have to know my grandfather and my grandfather, because that is my nature. I am a byproduct of the house of my father. I am by nature identified by my father. My father is the one that produced me. My father and my mother. I am identical to my father and my mother. That environment that created me is who they are. Their value, their priorities, and their definition of life made me. I am identified by that. So when I go out of my environment, when I go to live into multicultural environment, I have to keep in my mind that if I lose my identity, I become nothing. And I cannot add value to other people. I am as valuable and as important to other people as much I remained in my culture and in my identity. Because when I lose myself and try to look like them, I malfunction first. And another thing, I cannot give them something new because I already look like them. So we need to understand that the first place in life to preserve and to protect is our family. Family is the first institution in life. Family is the first place of which produce life. Family is the place of which we all grow. As a matter of fact, we are all a byproduct of the environment of which we grow in. You are a byproduct of what your father is and your mother. I am a byproduct of what my father and my mother is. So I am a Munyamulenge. I come from a tribe called Munyamulenge. I am pretty much sure that I have a lot of things and a lot of values. I don't even have to speak who I am, but the way I take things, the way I relate to things, what I call good and bad, identify me. When someone see me doing things in a way that I do it, they can tell I come from that place. You don't need to put on things for you to look like a person. Your action, your deed, your words, your language, the way you value things, the way you prioritize, whatever you prioritize, already identify who you are. So, again, for us to be successful in our life, we need to keep our culture. We need to grow in our culture. Let's grow in our culture and be valuable in other cultures, that who and what we are supposed to be. Thank you so much.